Like, you're not going to be successful just because you go out and try once. It's about the persistency.
I think the other thing that Renee was talking about too is like, don't give yourself false barriers. Age, health, wealth, relationship status, job status, education. I mean, these were consistent themes throughout the day on the speakers. Everything was based in an extremely personal story. So first of all, this power of storytelling was incredible.
Hey, Nicole, what do you get when a former corporate CEO and a do-gooding executive walk into a recording studio?
Well, Erin, nothing, because the two of us are usually on my couch or Zoom, because wine.
You get a podcast created for Gen X women who are bought into the corporate world, but fed up with the BS.
I know. It's how to thrive the 9 to 5 or 6 or 7.
It's career therapy. It's comedy. It's definitely full-on authenticity. Basically, we give you tangible strategies to rise in your career without compromising everything else.
Because work doesn't have to suck.
Decided to fucking do it.
Because we decided to fucking do it. Here we are.
Why? We're here because we decided to fucking do it today.
Remember, we got suggestion before that we sound alike. So I'm Erin.
And I'm Nicole.
We are your co-hosts.
And we're here because we fucking decided to do it. I feel we're coming up. So, I mean, I think the reality is that we're coming up on our big 200 and I'm going on a trip. So there's stuff coming up and we have some stuff in the hopper, but we really wanted to connect, just especially after an amazing weekend, and make sure that we, dropped an episode before our 200 that was with us.
Yeah, that shares,
here we are.
Shares the inside. We got to be together. We did have some podcast listeners there in person. She Who Wins at Mohegan Sun here in Connecticut. Yes. We know not everybody was here. So we always want to just like bring you in. Like, you are part of our tribe.
You're our people. Yeah. So this weekend, the She Who Wins Summit, you have been very intimately tied to, but also me in a weird way. This is our friend Renee Bauer, who is an amazing person in many regards. And she's really, she started out as a divorce attorney, but has really leveraged her story and her power to a much broader topic. And she's the powerhouse. She's involved in, she's launching a new business, right? So she's launched this tarot bridge online, tarot reading company, which is super cool. She's doing a million things. She's got a book coming out.
And can we just back up? Because you just glazed past something really fast. You're like, you've been intimately involved, but I'm weirdly connected. Like, no, stop. I know Renee.
Right.
Because of you. I mean, you are the center of this universe.
So this is funny.
You're not a star flying by.
I'm not a bypasser in this relationship. So as I'm standing in this room on Saturday at Mohegan Sun, and you're there and she's there and everybody's there, you're in a room full of powerful people saying powerful things, doing powerful things with amazing messages, and you say to yourself, "Holy shit, how did I get here? And what am I taking away from this?" And that was something we wanted to talk about. So I don't know, can I just jump in for my first lesson learned from that amazing conference?
Yes, except for you thought, "Holy shit, how did I get here?" And you know what I thought? I thought, what? Holy shit, as soon as we walked in the room, there was one of those 360 cameras, and before I shove like a scone down my face,
you actually bypassed said breakfast in order to get on the 360 selfie booth. I don't even know what that was. Okay, so you crushed it. I don't know if everybody has seen that video that you posted to Facebook that was taken of the two of us. First of all, I couldn't figure out where to look. I thought the thing was spitting. I have no spatial awareness at all. I honestly did not know what was going on, and you crushed it. You and the money gun. I need to get you a money gun. I'm getting you a money gun.
Oh my God, it was so much fun.
That's what I saw. You were natural. You were dancing. You owned it. How many people said to you, "Oh my gosh, that was the best one of the conference"? At least 5 people said that to me.
I definitely heard that. I also I owned it, but I also couldn't walk the next day quite literally, and was at the chiropractor Monday morning at 8:30. Quite legitimately.
It's another lesson learned. We're going to shelve that one, but So for anybody who's wondering, spatial awareness is a real thing. I have like weird sensory issues and my vision is terrible. I actually was very confused as to the whole movement of the process. sometimes I feel bad for myself walking around the world and then the rest of the world that has to deal with me. And that was one of those situations. But I braved it and got on twice, and it was awesome. And I didn't fall off and I didn't hurt myself. And we still put out a terrific product that we can now utilize over and over again. But it was a very cool weekend, and I was very happy to be there. And that just wasn't for the free cookies. There was a lot of good reason to be there. And you know how we feel about ladies' conferences. Not always our favorite thing, but this was a new thing. So I was reminded, number one, of the power of relationships. And I will caveat that by saying that I am so happy that a couple of years ago, one, you walked into my house and said, "Hey, we're doing a podcast." And I said, yes, right? Power of connect. You had something in mind and you said, let's do this. I decided to invite Renee on our podcast because I thought she had something to say, which then inspired her. And then I got...
No, slow down on that one.
Yeah.
Slow down on that one for our listeners. Yeah. Not only did she interview Renee on our podcast, which involved Nicole going over to Renee's house with a sushi platter the size of Delaware.
It was a sushi boat. Yes.
and wine. And your authentic questions, right? And really but also the culture that we've created with this podcast. You asked Renee not stuffy pre-planned questions about building, a highly successful law firm or, whatever. You went into something she's never gone into, which was the fact that not only does she run a family practice, she's also been divorced twice and now very happily married. And quite literally in the book, she talks about you, by the way, because I got to read it. In her talk, it was the catalyst. Like it. I mean, a lot of things have to happen, but that interview on because, I don't know, episode probably like
19, I think.
19.
Maybe earlier, maybe even earlier, something like that. Very early teens.
Changed the trajectory of her entire life.
One conversation, just a topic that we had brushed on before as friends that we both, Renee and I have a lot in common, divorces under our belt. We actually met through, former partners. We kept each other essentially. And I just said, "Hey, let's have a conversation about this." It never occurred to me that it might not be a topic that she was comfortable talking about. She's a divorce attorney. I thought, oh my gosh, crazy. And I'm so honored that simple conversation, that thing I didn't even think of, inspired this. But that's not even the important part. The important part is that's not crazy. That is something that happens every day in this world. And we get in our own way. I get in my own way a lot. I call it my inner networking weenie, like my anti-networking weenie that just doesn't like to connect, is stressed out about it, somehow feels like it's not me. I can't do this. It's stressful for me to bring people together in my life from different walks of life. I'm kind of believe it or not, I'm a fairly discreet person in my life, and I keep things very separate. And for some reason, I felt that I had to connect you and Renee, and then it has since blossomed into something incredible. And I was sitting in that room thinking about that and reminding myself every day that my inner weenie that doesn't want me to connect with people is wrong. And that I know that I have to work on it. And being in that room reminded me that I don't have to do it all the time with everybody everywhere, but I can be selective about it and make great relationships and great connections. And in fact, maybe that's what works for me, but I shouldn't deny my power and ability to do that just because I'm not natural at it or an extrovert. We've had so many conversations about networking, and I know that some of our listeners, they love it, they hate it, they're challenged by it, they know it's important, but wow, you don't have to do it like everybody else. And then look what happens. And then this conference is somewhat of a baby of that. It's the spawn of that. Me saying to my inner networking weenie to go away.
Yeah. One of the things I've been thinking about too is that similar but different, right? I'm kind of more of a natural extrovert, although I think call it post-COVID, call it also just the entrepreneurial world, you're constantly being introduced to people, which is great. And it's exhausting. And
So-
I too can be a networking weenie. You know, my narrative goes something like, I've already like got enough people in my network. I just can't handle one more kind of thing. Like, and
right.
you know, the thing that keeps popping into my head, I keep saying to myself, 10 to 1, 10 to 1, 10 to 1. And what that means is that not that it's like a sales thing where it's all about the numbers, but I feel like, but for about every 10 person that I introduce, you know, usually, you know, 8 of those 10 are awesome people. One might be sort of a dud, but there's one of those 10 that is like life altering. And you just don't know which one it's going to be.
You don't. You really don't. You could put your money on it like a racehorse and, you know, it might be the trifecta, it might not. Absolutely agree with that. And how many times do you hear the same old in the working world, leadership world, LinkedIn, about the power of networking, the power of connection, the power of relationships? It's true, but it doesn't have to be done the way everybody else does it. And it's not an objective. It's not something with that you have to attach outcomes to.
Right.
It's a process.
Yeah.
Right. It's a process that you go through, that you check in with consistently, and you can sort of forge your own path. And even if you're maybe missing opportunities or being selective about opportunities or something, you have no idea where something can unfold, and you can try it. You don't like it? Well, try it. Try something that feels comfortable to you. Renee and you are two very comfortable people in my life. Connecting you was easy, and has nothing to do with me. And that's part of it, is that I chose two people who are magnificent. So just surprised that there was magic there.
Well,
I can't take a lot of credit.
Especially because the three of us, from a personality, style, the three of us are like all so different.
Oh,
so right? So different. Like in terms of just
spectrum of people.
Yeah, just the external, like if you looked at us externally, you'd be like, you would never just put these three in a pile. Like you would never sort them like, yeah, exactly. Like candy after a Halloween outing.
Yep.
Like you would not put us in the same pile.
Yep. You're in sneakers. She's in stilettos, designer stilettos, and I'm somewhere in between, you know?
Exactly.
we all choose different shoes. That's probably the easiest way to put it. But and there were a lot of other relationships. So I truly enjoyed meeting a lot of our podcast listeners and people, you know, in your life, speakers. I go on and on. There are more lessons, but for me, just reminding myself about the power of relationships and that it can be done your own way, was really important for me. Important for me.
Yeah. It was interesting for me because I go to conferences all the time, but I'm usually like, I'm speaking, I'm out, or I might come and listen for a couple of things beforehand. This was the first one, and probably since last year, where I did both. I spoke and I was a participant. And I think, for me, especially when you speak in the afternoon twice, your head is sort of wrapped up in getting prepped for that. And you're wondering, like, how much can I also consume of others? But, I think one of the biggest things for me, one, I think, like you said, the relationships and the doing it in person. I wrote this down as I was reflecting. Best things happen in person, like period, end of story. Like it's the best jobs, the best opportunities. There were some opportunities there that I won't really talk about that may come to fruition that never would have come if I wasn't there meeting somebody in person. The other thing is I can't get enough of sort of the message in this, my words, not anybody else's, but it really came from Renee's talk. Don't give up on shit. Like, I can't get enough of that. Like I could listen to 12 people tell, and it's not just the message, it's the stories, and so for Renee, her keynote, which was the first time she gave it, which was mind-blowingly powerful. The message was there in, with marriage, she's obviously ended up in a great marriage, but, she talked about her book and the 113 rejections she got from literary agents. And then year plus of who knows how many rejections that agent got of her book. And, I don't care if you're in the regular world and it's interviewing, or you can't get the business case sold, or definitely in the entrepreneurial world. God, I had so many highs from that weekend, like tangible, positive things.
Same.
Today I looked at something and I was like, it like erased everything, because I was like, oh my God, and I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to throw in the towel, but I really went back to that. And I hope our listeners just seek out the bazillion stories of people where during it just seems horrendous and stupid, but that don't give up on shit. You're not going to be successful just because you go out and try once.
Right.
It's about the persistency. So
but there's also, I think the other thing that Renee was talking about too is don't give yourself false barriers. Age, health, wealth, relationship status, job status, education. These were consistent themes throughout the day on the speakers. Everything was based in extremely personal stories. So first of all, this power of storytelling was incredible, but everyone sort of drew from a different area, which is you can't assume that you don't have the right credentials. And how many times do we hear this with women? Oh, women don't apply for the job because they feel like they're not 100% qualified. Men do. It's the same thing about pursuing these things. And people in that room were pursuing all kinds of things. They were pursuing career growth. They were pursuing authentic love. They were pursuing relationship changes. They were pursuing, family issues, wealth building, skill building.
Everyone side gigs, new businesses.
Exactly. It was professional. It was personal. A lot of people pursuing all different kinds of things. And the messages were extremely powerful about not giving up and not creating these false barriers to distract you or deter you. They may be real. They may be something you have to overcome, but the story that you tell yourself can't be worse than reality. And we all tell yourself the strong story about what your challenges and barriers bring you. Use that to help you create success in your life, but don't create false narratives about what these barriers are and why it holds you back, because that's on you.
That's on you. That's so good. Yeah. The other thing I loved was Cheryl, Dr. Cheryl Wood. What a powerhouse.
What a personality.
What a powerhouse.
Yeah.
And, a lot of what she talked about is about the power of sharing your stories, sort of power of speaking. She is a keynote speaker trainer. She runs these things, train the trainer kind of thing. She works with professional speakers. But what I loved is, she said something, if you have a solution, how do you dare not share it? And from my perspective, I'm like, yeah, damn straight. That's what I'm doing. But I loved that message for everybody else too, if that doesn't sound pretentious. And I hope everybody, anybody that's not even thinking about being a professional speaker, or you obviously using your voice through this medium. So, but, I hope our listeners, just a snippet of an hour-long powerhouse keynote, but, if you have a solution, and that's not just a grandiose, that's tiny, how dare you not share it? So use your voice, whether that's to train somebody that's new in the department, or it's to share your wisdom as a mentor, or, maybe it is to have a podcast or be a speaker or something, or content, share that content, a content creator on social media or whatever it is.
Make the simple connection. My friend, a friend of mine, got in touch with me yesterday. So I reshared a post that you had put on Facebook about the conference. I sort of was laughing about the magic that happened between you and Renee. And I had forgotten this. It was a friend from work who was going through a divorce, and he was in a horrible situation, just a bad situation. And I, as my coach, Krista, who my trainer, who also was at the conference and did a great session, says, she often says this, that you know who your friends are because they sit in the muck with you, right? But they're not the ones who are there for the good time. They're in the shit. And I knew what he was going through. And I didn't give him advice, but I remember that I put together a couple of things. I said, here are some resources that might be helpful to you. And one of them was Renee's mediation practice. And at first, his thought was, this is contentious. We're not going to mediate. And also because it had been a very upsetting dissolution of his marriage. And he also, I think, was uncomfortable with the idea of having a woman represent him, right? There's this feeling of this sort of gender, sort of this gender conformity, right?
A beautiful woman. I mean, let's just say it too.
Right. I mean, I think he was a little nervous about having a woman represent his interests. And what he wrote on my Facebook page yesterday over a series of messages was, it made me cry because I had forgotten that, and I didn't realize that he saw that as a turning point in his life. And he reminded me of that. Again, a similar connection to a similar person, but I thought that's some powerful stuff. Connection.
Powerful stuff. Can I also tell you, this is Nicole, like, can I also tell you, I think I told you, but the listeners, the funny story about the Erin foot in the mouth as soon as I sat down with Dr. Kennedy Garcia. So classic.
So I was going to mention her. Please do. Oh God, Dr. Garcia I sat next to her the whole conference. And so I have a real love affair with Miss Spiritual Boss Chick, which is her handle. Yeah.
Yes.
You made a funny guess. I have to give it to you.
Yeah, so we were sitting in these like front couches right up front, sort of at the conference VIP seating, and we were sat next to this absolutely gorgeous African American woman wearing this flowing red suit, and she is Mrs. California. She's held like 8 different titles. And she's also an executive at Kaiser. Like she's
a child prodigy. She went to Stanford at 16, and I think her father was a Major League Baseball player. I mean, she's got like this whole story, right?
Like we're not worthy. I have no idea.
No, like I was not worthy of sitting next to her. I was not worthy to share popcorn with her.
I was not worthy either. But she was such a light and so sweet. So we sit down, just meeting each other, doing our highs. What's your name? And I think she said to me something like, I love your outfit. Now, I was wearing black Adidas track running pants,
very vintage.
Like maroon sneakers, a black Be Authentic t-shirt, and a black leather jacket. I sort of had this 50% rule because I gave the 50% rule. Like I sort of had the business up top and the fun down. And there was a whole running metaphor in my talk. So there's a reason. So it was a different outfit that I've never worn this outfit doing a keynote before. So she says to me, I love your outfit. And to which I say right back to her, oh, thank you. I'm not usually this black. And she responds, I am. And I knew I loved her.
The perfect response, I think, really level set with, where everybody was coming from. I'm now following a Spiritual Boss Chick.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like,
I already asked her to be on the podcast, by the way.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Done and done. Yeah. Okay. Done and done. Yeah.
Nicole, what are you doing over there? I'm finally getting up off the virtual couch and making some career moves, just like you told me. And I came across your Authenticity Playbook.
Yeah. I forgot to tell you about it. This Authenticity Playbook I've had for a long time, and it's actually the most downloaded resource I have. It's basically 10 quote unquote plays, authenticity plays that you can make at work to stand out and get promoted and use authenticity as your strategy, your secret weapon.
Now, I'm really going to take this to heart because despite all the sports references, I know that it's full of your awesome and your authenticity. And it probably is going to help me go far or go home or go big or whatever the sports reference is.
All the things. So listeners, if you also want the Authenticity Playbook, you can go to beauthenticinc.com/playbook and you can make career moves like Nicole.
Whoop, whoop, Heisman! Okay, good. I'm glad. I think people will love her. So I actually attended her breakout session, and that's where I think the reminder of something that I knew and had been working on, but really it just resonated with me fully. So first I'll say, I think because I'm an economist, I think a lot about definitions of wealth, and we talk about wealth and value on this podcast all the time. And her breakout session was about creating wealth. So I thought, oh, sweet, money. let me go talk about money. No, that she was not talking about money. She was talking about all the factors in our life that make up our wealth. And one of the things that really hit home for me as a reminder, because I've been working on this, Erin, was the ultimate definition of wealth. Her definition of wealth is the only unrenewable resource, which is time. That time is your greatest. It is your wealth, and how you use that time. And I've just had so many thoughts. That's right. I've even actioned it since. And we had a lot of conversations in that room about what that meant, sort of what you do with your time and how you spend your time. And I cannot tell you, like, even this weekend, how much that has resonated with me. Because I struggle with this. And I told you that one of the things, the gifts that I wanted to give myself on my birthday was to create a better morning and night routine. I wanted to recapture that time and reframe it. Because and even coming out of the conference, we're like, so what do you feel like you're going to do? I was like, I'm going to commit to making better use of my mornings and evenings, right? Mm-hmm. Feeling better about it, using that time. Am I going to go out and do something with my art? Am I going to make a career change? Am I going to meet people? All of those things. Because I am going to create the time to make it happen and make it meaningful. That number one barrier, but also the value of time. We had a very similar story too about sort of our families, like having lost my dad recently, and really, not having a chance necessarily. One, not having a chance to do everything you want to do in the time that you want to do it, and also not knowing how much time there is to do something with you or other people involved, and that in some of this, in order to get control, you have to give up control, right? You have to recognize that it's not all in your control, time even, but you can do things to make it more meaningful. And I just was like, oh my God. And the funniest thing happened. So, as you know, I have been sort of half running the office while my boss was out, has been out on surgery. And that day, the conference, my boss texts me and he asks how I'm doing. I'm like, how am I doing? I'm like, you're the one with the ostomy bag. How are you doing? Right? Like, I didn't want to bother him. And he's like, I just got the word that I'm cancer free.
Okay. Oh my God, I just got chills.
I know, right?
My God.
I was like, oh my God. I mean, because we're talking about a young person who had very aggressive cancer, and this sort of reshaped our relationship. And we're going. And so I'm in this, place where I'm literally sitting there in Dr. Garcia's session. And I happen to pick up my phone because I'm taking notes, and he's texting me like, I am cancer free. Like, this is the time. And I was like, oh my God, Tom, like, this is incredible. We have to talk about it. And he said, I'm adopting a mantra. He's a funny guy. He's like, I'm adopting a new mantra about like my life and how I approach things. And he's like, I want to share it with you. I'm like, tell me. He goes, here's my new mantra. And I'm going to screw it up because it's in Latin, because of course it's in Latin. He's a military guy and I don't speak Latin. Nobody speaks in Latin, dead language. But I screw it up. He goes, here, the sum total of my new personal mantra is, I'm going to get this wrong. Sugeri minus cucite. And that means suck less daily. Oh my God. I was like, are there KPIs for that? Performance indicators? Like, how? So we start going back and forth with like, what are our performance indicators for suck less daily?
Oh my God. So good.
So I find out as I'm sitting there that he is cancer free, that his surgery went well, and he's got some road ahead of him, that I'm now going to be held to the standard of sucking less daily, which I think I can handle. I get to create my own KPIs. This is amazing. And, there was something just like opening in that moment, for me, I think, just really, 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 really beautiful. And, I've had some moments this past week. Like, I was exhausted from all the peopling, and I've had some challenges.
But you said you've already actioned it. I'm curious what on the time thing. What's one thing that you've actioned, which is so business buzzword, but I'll let it slide.
Actioned. Well, okay. So first of all, I was like, I have to get my tools in order. So there's a lot to this story, but I spent my Sunday at the T-Mobile store. Okay. This is
I
emotional.
was waiting for this story. I think
No.
I only got the text.
Okay. There were 4 hours at the T-Mobile store. Okay. First of all, I decided I need to get my tools in place. And I have a phone that is really old and I'm like emotionally attached to my phone. And since I'm Gen X, I have this fear of like losing everything on my phone and like everything's going to go away and I'm never going to find it. And there'll be no pictures left and I'm starting over and I don't exist in the world. Because that has literally happened in early, like pre-cloud days, right? So I'm like having this like emotional experience. So I walk into the T-Mobile store and like I come prepared. Like I go here once every 4 years and it's usually a painful experience for me. I pick one that's kind of out of the way. I think there's not going to be that much going on. Like I have a whole game plan. I kind of clear my schedule. I'm like, I got a trip coming up. Like I finally need to do this. Like I am mostly prepared. I bring snacks. I bring water. I walk in, Erin, it's a fucking absolute shit show. Like, okay, so first of all, there are 2 young people behind the counter. Like, and I get to know these people over the next 4 hours. Like, I just want you to know this. So I immediately realized, like,
What are their names?
their names are Jaden and Nina Simone. Nina Simone. I even met her. I was like, your mother named you Nina Simone? I was like, that is the most fabulous name I've ever heard. I was like, you know who she is, right? She said, she was like, I do.
I have no idea who it is. It just sounds good.
I was so amazed. So over the course of 4 hours, we end up having conversations about life, about family. They're in their young 20s. They did not believe that I was 47, first of all, which I felt like really cool about health, about wellness, about potential jobs, about whether or not they should be working at a T-Mobile store, like, and doing what they're doing. And, we talked about influencer culture. I mean, we talked about everything because I was there forever for a lot of reasons. One, because also my phone kept dying because it's broken and it took 3 hours longer than it should have to get a phone. But besides that, one thing that I realized was that I knew immediately that time was not going to be in my control. Like I had to let go of the fact that like, if I thought anything else was going to happen today, it was not going to happen. And I was going to make the best of this experience and I was going to connect with people. And as I'm standing there, I realized that these young retail workers are on the front lines of our mental health and wellness in this country. What I saw in that store over 3 hours was mind-blowing. And the way that they handled it, I thought to myself, I'm never going to ever hire anybody who hasn't had a job before they get to a professional job. If you tell me like the only job you ever had is a lawyer, I'm sorry. Like, I don't know if we can do that. The way that they handled some of these situations. So in 3 hours, I saw an incredibly belligerent person who, family, is very similar to my neighbor and her son. They were not in good shape and they were arguing with them over, the woman was claiming that she had always had access to her phone, she couldn't access it. And it became very apparent to me that this woman had memory loss and that her son was in denial. And this was going on and on and on. And they were getting like aggressive and angry. In fact, the way that they handled it was beautiful. And at one point they were getting aggressive and I went to the people and I said, do you have a manager here? I said, I think you need backup. And they're like, nope, Sunday, we have no manager. So I walked over to the woman. And unfortunately, there was some disrespect going on, I think, because of ageism and probably race. Nina and Jaden were persons of color. And this woman and her son were clearly they were either not self-aware, struggling, and were not capable of help. So I went over, I helped them. I said, look, this is the situation. Like I pretended to be the manager. I was the manager. Helped them, got them out of the room. She comes back 20 minutes later without the son, claiming that she had been assaulted, abused, that T-Mobile was in her head, it became extremely clear that there were mental health issues going on. So I pulled her aside again. I said, ma'am, this is what we talked about. I wrote it down for her. Said, this is your postcode. This is it. And then her son calls the phone and she picks up and they start arguing because I don't think she was supposed to be out of the house by herself. And then they're yelling. And so I take the phone and I say, sir, she's back at the T-Mobile store. Can I help you? Can I help? I'm trying to help your mother. And he starts screaming at me about whatever. So there's clearly lots of mental health issues going on. So I said, look, I'm sending her home with a document. Hopefully it will help you proceed, whatever. I mean, we were at the point where we almost had to call police. And it was so sad because it was very clearly a situation where neither of these people were equipped to handle the mental, emotional issues that were going on with them. They clearly weren't getting help, and they were taking it on in a retail environment. And I just decided to intervene. And I think Nina and Jaden, they literally said to me, like, oh my God, no one has ever helped out like that. Then somebody walks in the store just out of the blue and starts asking Nina, like starts sexually harassing Nina, just right there. What? And I was like, and I'm like, Nina, and so she says, I'm sorry, I'm not interested. I have a boyfriend. I look at him, he's like my age. He finally decides, I was like, sir, again, manager, like, sir. And because he was kind of also getting in the way while I was trying to get my phone set up. I was like, dude, I'm working on the messages over here. He's asking her out aggressively. I was like, do you know him? And she's like, no, it happens, but it happens all the time. Okay, so now she's getting sexually harassed. I mean, these are two young people in the store on a Sunday. Like, how is there no other people around? Like, they're at risk, right?
Yeah.
So he goes away, and I'm like, I'm in customer service. So I was like, oh boy, you must have some frequent flyers. Then they start telling me about how one guy comes in every week claiming that his phone is locked up and that T-Mobile is after him, and they had to report him because they found child porn on his phone, and that he comes in all the time. And then there's an older woman who comes in regularly talking about how she has, phone issues, and young man opens it up and there's 50 naked pictures of herself on the phone that she had wanted him to find. And she is like, then she claims that he's sexually harassing her. These are people that are paid minimum wage. So do you know what I did? Like, I sat there and we talked through all of this. We talked through the whole thing for like 3 hours, but everything that they were going through and all of this, all of this stuff. And just, we talked about career options. I talked about like what else they could do in customer service, like what other occupations are out there, like what they should value themselves. Like if they don't have a formal education, like what else can they do? Like things that they can do. Like I think everyone thinks they're going to be an Instagram influencer. It was an amazing conversation. I mean, I was so impressed with their intellectual and emotional capacity. I thought, why the fuck are you working at a T-Mobile store? Like, what is happening? And so at some point, Jaden's trying to explain something to me and about how something about broadband works. And I explained to him, I was like, I'm a utilities regulator, but like, I don't really know this. And he's like, you should get this service. It's like way better. And you can get internet in your house. And I was like, are you telling me this operates not off wires, but off Jesus beams? That's where the Jesus beams. I didn't know it. Like we're 3 hours into the conversation. I was like, are you telling me, Jaden, that you got that T-Mobile gets Jesus beams? And mind you, we had already just been yelled at for hours by someone who was claiming that T-Mobile was in her head. He immediately, I don't know how he does it because he's like young and magical. He immediately texts like everybody he's ever met. And one of his friends wrote a song about Jesus beams, apparently. He texted everybody he knew or social media'd them. But he's like, social media. Yep. Social media. So he tells me, he's like, it's viral. He's like, Jesus beams are viral. And I don't know where they're viral or how they're viral, but something's going to come of this because, he's like a music guy. And I'm like, so I gave him my contact information. Like I wrote it on paper. I don't. And of course, you're not carrying around the 900 business cards I gave you. Like, no, I'm not. It was like, that was great like that. And couldn't we have Jesus beamed some information to each other? I mean, maybe, I don't know, because I have an iPhone. I got another Android. Don't yell at me. And also it was taking 4 hours to download my 9,000 pictures. But Jesus beams apparently now viral after my meeting. And there's a song coming out and he and his band are going to talk about it. And he might even get a tattoo of it. But the follow-up to the story is that I left my charger there because of course I did. And I had to go back the next day. And I walk in, I'm going to take a picture of it, and my charger is wrapped up in tape and in a bag, and it has a sticky note on it and says, Nicole Hart, we love you. Thank you for our favorite customer ever. And like, I know it's a lot. I mean, what a great reverse to a use of your time, right? Like you could have looked at it as like you could the whole time with a skull on your face and being pissed off. I could have sat there on my phone and not connected with these two young people who have very little in common with me. I thought we had so much in common. And I was able to serve in some capacity and help them. We shared resources, we shared laughs, we shared ideas, we shared snacks. Like,
of course.
Jaden is like going to listen to the podcast. He said he even subscribed. So maybe he'll hear about himself on the podcast, which would be super awesome. And I would love to hear from him again. And I was just really touched by, feeling like that was time well spent, that it was a shitty circumstance for everybody, just everybody. And it was uncomfortable and weird and annoying. And yet it became something magical because I spent the time to accept the situation, to use it, and to connect. It was like the two things that I had been thinking about, like, came together. And Erin, I have been questioning myself a lot lately, right? Like, last week I've realized that like the entire back of my house was basically collapsing into the earth, right? Like my toilet was leaking. The toilet had an issue. I went on Google. I tried to fix it. I thought I was amazing. I'm being a strong woman. Hear me roar. Well, apparently I didn't fix it. It made it worse. The toilet starts leaking. And apparently this is going on for months. And I kind of notice it, but don't notice it. And then it's raining. I notice the floor is squishy. I pull up the rug. Don't you know, the floor is literally like the entire back is like collapsing into itself, right? And I always said to shit like that. Sometimes I'm really great about it. Sometimes I'm not. But man, that threw me for a loop because I was like, I don't need this shit. Like I have so much going on. I was so exhausted. I was depressed about some things last month. Like it was just the icing on fucking cake. And I'd always said to myself, I was like, you're okay, Nicole. Like you don't have broken down cars on your lawn. You don't have a toilet on your lawn. Like you are okay. And guess what? Like I have a toilet on my lawn now.
You're still okay though.
But I'm still okay. I walked into this weekend feeling really bad about having a toilet on my lawn. Like just that I literally had let things go to shit, literally. And I just was like, this is it. Everything's catching up with me. And I don't know. I would think I was able to reclaim some feelings of like power and purpose and renewal and excitement, just sitting in that room, having this conversation about time being wealth, feeling these relationships, like meeting these awesome people, some that I knew, some that were new, getting this amazing news, and then walking out the door and being like, whatever moment I'm in, like I'm going to use this for something.
You used your voice.
Yeah. Valuable.
You used voice. Yeah. I love that, like the dichotomy of Saturday versus Sunday, like Saturday. I mean, you just have to picture like the summit conference is just like the fancy, like, I don't even want to say fancy. It's just pizzazz. It's everything's done to the nines.
There was a Beyonce impersonator who I think was Beyonce. I think she was Beyonce, possibly.
Could have been a they, though. I'm not even sure it was a she.
Correct. I do think it was. Yes,
it could have. Yeah.
I have been a they. They were possibly Beyonce.
But what a dichotomy. And then you're in this shit ass T-Mobile for much of the next day. But both of them, I mean, I think one had a better experience on Sunday. Like you said, you carried those messages and that inspiration that you got on Saturday. But it doesn't matter where you're at. Like, it doesn't matter if you're a fancy summit or a T-Mobile or in a workstation or on a train or where, like, yeah.
No, and
you can still have an amazing day, share your voice, impact people, connect.
Yeah. And I've committed to this sort of, I've committed because I want to like do this morning and night routine better. And I'm getting there slowly. And yesterday I felt phenomenal. I got up in the morning. I went to a morning yoga class, which I rarely do. And I was freaking beat. And of course, I spent half of it staring at people being like, look at these bitches doing God knows what. It's 7 a.m. But I walked out, felt energized for the day. I had a modeling gig at night. So there was a lot of physical activity. It was a new place. I felt like I crushed it. I came home actually energized, not exhausted. And then this morning I got up and I met a friend for coffee who was in town who I adore. She's just one of these kindred spirits who I wish lived in Connecticut, but she was in town for work and she had zero time to meet. So I said, 7 a.m. coffee. And do you know that before 8:30, I had already had coffee with a friend, reconnected. We had laughs and follow-ups. And I made it to the Italian importing store for the sale on the best chicken cutlets in Connecticut. Boom. Oh, yeah. Welcome to tonight.
Freaking nailed it. I'm so proud of
Clearly
you.
making moves.
I love it.
Nailed it. Nailed it, girl.
Nailed it.
And the toilet's on my lawn, but we are going to go get wood and like deal with that shit sooner rather than later. Shit, literally. Sooner rather than later. So,
you got this.
I got this. I got this. And, you know, I just want to suck less daily. Do you want to know one of the KPIs that Tom and I came up with?
Yes.
So some of this is like, I think I'm actually making some progress in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have agreed to not let ourselves get fucked by the good idea fairy. Like, good ideas come down, you're like, I got to do that right now. Or you feel really passionate about something and you shoot off an email, or you're like, that has long been, I think, one of my problems. Like, I feel like I know things, or I feel like a sense of rage and injustice or inefficiency, and I will go immediately and do the thing and take the action. And maybe I need to ask some questions or whatever. And Tom is like, you know, Tom has a military background, as I said, and this is apparently like is a related concept, I think, in the Navy. And he said, we agreed that we were the good idea fairy. She's great. She can really fuck you over. So
I love it. I'm writing things down because
that's step number one. Don't get fucked by the good idea fairy. So we don't know what number 2 is yet.
Such a tangible KPI.
I know. I'm like, I don't know what number 2 is yet, but that's definitely one. And that's about slowing things down, taking a moment to think and breathe, and to collaborate and to act accordingly. As you know, we have some complications from the last episode I talked about that. But isn't that also like a magnificent twist on the ideas about like the use of time too? It's that doing everything in the moment is not always the answer.
Exactly. Write it down, put it on the to-do later. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So I'm committed to improving my routines and sucking less daily at this point. So thank you, Renee. Thank you, She Who Wins Summit. Thank you, you. And, you know, thank you to this group of listeners who are so inclined to continue with us on this journey. I feel like I'm going to be gone for a couple of weeks. So I'm going
to see, we're going to record next week.
No, we are.
We have a surprise 200th episode. And then you're off on your family trip, and we'll be back.
Family trip. So I'm very excited. I'm very excited about this. It will feel great to honor Dad. And I'm excited to have 8 days with my nephew, Sonny, who is gigantic. He's a gigantic 1-year-old. He's like 30 something pounds. And I think he's going to be the belle of the ball for the whole trip. So I'm really excited to spend some time with my family. We're just going to like a really remote place. And I don't know. I think the Lakatos we're going to take it by storm. I don't think it's going to be quiet when we get there.
I think there are going to be multiple articles written in local newspapers about your arrival.
And if I can just say one other thing is that I know that, you know, the topics of your keynotes they're really powerful. And I was really excited to be there in the front row, like hearing this roll out for the first time. And I thought it was tremendous. I also took lessons from that and thought about that as I, think about the 50% rule, as I think about how I hold myself accountable to new habits that I want to create, and embracing relationships and embracing time. The perfectionist in me wants to do everything awesome, and it wants to do everything perfect. It wants to do everything the way it's supposed to be done. And there is no supposed to be. The supposed to be is one of these barriers that, you know, we talked about that get in the way of telling us that we're not good enough. We haven't done it right, that we can't do more, that we can't just do the fucking thing and keep going. And like, I just don't want to do that anymore. So I think sort of that was the third thing, not in any particular order, that I took away with me.
Oh, I love it. It was fun. It was a great opportunity. when you have somebody who has the confidence in you to give a keynote that you've never given before on a topic that she actually really buys into. She's, Renee's seen my book proposal. She's 1,000% so into it. But that just gives you the latitude, zero direction, zero worries. And I walk up and throw some orange traffic cones on the stage and,
and she track pants and
all the gear.
In your comfortable shoes, and you pulled it off, even though you would never have known too that you were struggling with, a physical issue at the moment. You were so high energy. I thought, this is Erin when she's not feeling perfect. Jesus Christ, I got to see you on stage next time.
When I'm not an old lady.
Yeah, so everyone should get Erin to where they are because it's pretty fun. It's awesome, and you will walk away feeling powerful, just powerful, that you have what you have, what you have within you to navigate the world and to create value with what you have in the way that you want to, and I thought that was
well said.
That was awesome.
Oh, thank you. I was glad to have you there. All the smiles and the shots.
Glad to be there. And I'm glad that I didn't fall off any stages or I didn't put my arms out at the wrong time and knock the camera off the thing, which almost happened. So off the spinny thing. And I did, however, sneak into the men's bathroom for a quiet moment.
Sneak. The report I heard from the man that you walked in on. No, because I hear this woman screaming, "I'm coming in. Just so you know, I have to come in. I'm coming in." And then he's like, and wouldn't you know it, guess who it was? And I was like, who? He's like, Nicole. But that's what happens at women's conferences. You got 200 women and 7 guys.
Look, two things about conferences at our age is wear comfortable shoes and know where all the bathroom options are. Because it was a long walk to the bathroom and the line for the ladies' room was enormous. And I was like, we've got 2 options here. I'm either going to pee in my shoes or I'm going there. So I did. And then when I was about to leave, Renee's husband was in the bathroom at the urinal. So I actually got on the toilet and just hid for another minute. I thought, this is some good quiet time because I had been really tired from all the people.
You needed it anyway.
So so I crouched on the toilet like most normal people would do, if they were running from the FBI or something, and just allowed the last few men to have their private moments. And then I kind of snuck out, and the ladies at the booth outside were I was like, we're gender neutral now. I just walked. I was like, I'm gender neutral. Yeah, I did do that. I did create a little bit of a scene, but of course, because that's fun. So
that's who you are.
Yeah, I know that's who I am. Anyway, but yes, it was a delightful weekend. I was glad to be there, and I hope that if Renee does it again, I'm sure she will. I hope more of our.
She already announced Boston.
I knew it. I know
Boston,
she did now.
2024.
I know it. She always does it. She's like, I can't do this again.
Can't possibly do. I know. She said that to me a month or so ago when we got
together.
And
then Sunday night, right?
Okay.
They're having Sunday night. So she did tell you it was Boston.
She put it on Facebook or Instagram.
Did she?
Yeah. Just subtly, not in some big, not it was in the comments. She's basically it was Boston 2024.
That's funny because I was shooting for a warm destination, but that's fine. Whatever. Boston is fine. Boston is fun. And she's from Mass and lived in Boston. So that's kind of her.
So if your listeners are having FOMO, stay tuned. We'll, of course, be there and give you all the details.
2024. Get it done. Friends, do you have other friends? Are they adults? Are they out in the world somewhere? Please, please, please invite them to listen to our podcast.
Okay, dude, you sound like a late night, 2 a.m. infomercial. Basically, what she's saying is our love language is ratings, reviews, and sharing the podcast. We'd love nothing more. And if you would do that.